Lesson 6.3 is how we'll end the first part of Chapter 6. And like the first two lessons, this lesson is broken down to very specific portions. In the first part of Day 1, we're going to look at generating triangles like we've done in the past, but now they're going to be specific to the quadrant we're in. And what that is going to do is change our values for sine, cosine, and tangent and their reciprocals to possibly a positive answer or a negative answer. Looking at the definitions for the trigonometric functions of any angle, what we're doing here is recognizing their location on a coordinate system versus just drawing any old right triangle. So when we look at this, it's related to our R value. It says let theta be an angle in standard position with x and y a point on the terminal side of theta. And R is basically the length of the hypotenuse. It's the square root of x squared plus y squared. And that would be really kind of a spin-off of that Pythagorean theorem. So notice we have new definitions for all 6 trig functions. We're not really saying opposite over hypotenuse anymore or adjacent over opposite. We're using the coordinates for x and y and now that value of r, which is going to be on that terminal side. We have definitions for sine, cosine, and tangent. Sine is y over r, which is technically opposite over hypotenuse. Cosine is x over r, which would be adjacent over hypotenuse. And tangent is y over x. And that is very similar to opposite over adjacent for a triangle. Cotangent, secant, and cosecant are the reciprocals. So notice cotangent is the reciprocal of tangent, secant is the reciprocal of cosine, and cosecant is the reciprocal of sine. Now a big thing to remember is that location for that R value, that terminal ray, is going to matter. In each quadrant, depending on where the R value is located, trig values can be positive or negative. So this chart over here on the right is going to be a chart that you will want reference to quite a bit in lesson 6.3. Notice it says in quadrant 1, all 3 trig values, sine, cosine, and tangent are, all of the trig values are positive. But in quadrant 2, notice sine is positive, cosine and cotangent become negative. In quadrant 3, tangent's positive, sine and cosine are negative. And then in quadrant 4, cosine's positive, sine and tangent are negative. Another thing to note, the reciprocals will be positive and negative when those original functions are positive or negative. So we'll have to match that up as well. Now what's going to end up happening is we're going to create triangles and connect them always to the x-axis. And it doesn't matter what quadrant you end up in, we always connect to the x-axis. And then that'll allow us to find any missing side lengths similar to using Pythagorean theorem, and we'll be able to list any of the trig functions that we're asked to find. So here's what I mean by that. It says if sine theta equals 4/5. Now in the past we've always drawn that to be positive, so we've always drawn that technically in quadrant 1. But now we're going to be given some other information. So notice the next part, it says tangent is less than 0. Now that's going to make a difference in where we draw our picture. We're then asked to find cosine and cotangent. So we only have to have 2 more trig answers, but we need to figure out where to draw our shape. I'm going to start simply by creating a coordinate system. I'm just going to draw an x and y axis. Notice it says if sine of theta equals 4/5. That means sine is positive. But then it says tangent of theta has to be less than 0. So tangent has to be negative. If we look over at our chart on the right, we know that sine is positive in quadrants 1 and 2. But tangent is negative in 2 and 4. So if we look at that chart, the quadrant where both statements are true is going to be quadrant 2 over here on the left. What that means is that's where we're going to draw our triangle. So that means theta is rotating all the way over into quadrant 2. Sine is 4/5, so I'm just going to take my R value and kind of draw it somewhere in that coordinate, or in that quadrant, somewhere in that quadrant. And then it says always connect your ray down to the x-axis. So I'm going to draw a segment straight down and create my right triangle. Now our theta is going to be the angle that is adjacent or right on that x-axis. That's where we'll always put our theta. It says if sine theta equals 4/5, that sine value is y over r. So the y value would be +4, and r, which is our hypotenuse, is that +5. That's how we would generate those side lengths. So far, so good, and this seems pretty similar to what we've done already in Chapter 6. But to get cosine and cotangent, we need the length of that adjacent side. We'll do Pythagorean theorem. That's the x length, so I'm going to say x squared plus 4 squared is equal to 5 squared. Now this should seem pretty easy. We've actually seen triangles with side lengths 4 and 5 already. 4 squared is 16, and 5 squared is 25. We move 16 over, and we get x squared equals 9. Now here's what's going to be new, and this is where I hope you're all paying attention. If we have x squared equals 9, and we take the square root, that seems like a basic step in that process. That's the exact thing we need to do. But what we need to remember now, since we can be in any one of the 4 quadrants, x can be positive or it can be negative. So we have to determine in quadrant 2 on that left-hand side, which value makes sense. Are we going +3 to the right or -3 to the left? For this particular picture, x is going to equal -3. So be careful on that. And it's not negative for length, it's negative for direction. So that's kind of the trade-off. It isn't a negative length, it's negative because it's going in the direction of quadrant 2. So what I'm going to do is just kind of replace that over here on the left. Put a -3 right there. Make that a 3. There we go. Once you know all 3 side lengths, then you should be able to apply any of your definitions up above for cosine and cotangent. Cosine says x over r. So in this case, x is negative, and r stays 5. R will always be positive, and maybe we should write that down. I don't think that's written anywhere. Make sure r, if you're ever calculating that, that is always positive. So we would never have that plus or minus option if we were calculating the length of the hypotenuse. Okay, we know cosine. Let's get cotangent. It says cotangent equals x over y, and that would be -3 over 4. So now we're kind of introducing the idea that depending on the quadrant you're in, your trig values might be a positive fraction or a negative one. In a different type of situation, you may be given an ordered pair. It says let -3, -7 be a point on the terminal side of theta in standard position. Find the exact values, we got to be careful on that, the exact values of the 6 trig functions. We have to have all 6 answers here. All right, let's first create our coordinate system and we'll plot our ordered pair. Draw this over here on the left. It says -3, -7. So that means we're going to count 3 to the left and down 7. So I'm going to approximate that point down here. I'll draw my terminal side. And then remember, up above, we said we always connect our side to the x-axis. So now I'm going to draw that up and create my right triangle, my right angle. Now we went 3 to the left. That means x equals -3. And the y-coordinate was -7. So we technically counted down 7 units. We need to figure out all 6 trig definitions. Let's calculate the r value. To find a missing side length, we need to do Pythagorean theorem. If we do a squared plus b squared equals c squared, or in this case, x squared plus y squared equals r squared, -3 squared is 9, -7 squared is +49. Notice both of them are positive. 9 plus 49 is 58. Oh, it's not a perfect square this time. That's a bummer. We'll take the square root of each side, and remember your r value always has to be positive. So because of this, r value, I didn't want to erase it, I just wanted to highlight it, sorry. We want our r value to be positive. R is going to be the exact value, square root 58. Let's see, does anything go into 58 that's a perfect square? I think the only choices are 2 and 29, and neither of those are perfect squares. So we have to leave it like that, okay? So what I'm going to do is just erase that r on the hypotenuse of that triangle, and I'm going to write square root 58. And remember, our theta value, everybody, our angle that we're going to start from, is always on that adjacent side. So it's always in the center of the graph. That's hard to draw that in over there. There we go. I think we have all of our parts. So let's go ahead and list out all 6 trig definitions. We'll start with sine. Sine theta. Remember I said before, we have to include theta for our measure. If sine is y over r, that's going to be -7 over square root 58. Recognizing that square root in the denominator, let's go ahead and rationalize that. Moving the square root up to the top. And really, truly, all that does is eliminate the square root from the denominator. We have -7 square root 58 in the numerator now, or the top of our fraction. Square root 58 times itself is 58. All right, everybody, what I want you to do is please list out the rest of the trig definitions simply by using that chart up above. When you're done, press play and we'll see if we have a match. All right, hopefully you took some time to do that. Let's see how you did. I found cosine to be -3 over square root 58, and then I rationalized it. Notice tangent, if you have a negative divided by a negative, becomes positive 7/3. And then I did the reciprocals. Those actually went a lot faster. Cosecant is the reciprocal of sine, and that's just negative square root 58 over 7. Secant is the reciprocal of cosine, negative square root 58 over 3. And that negative can be in the numerator, denominator, or out in front of the fraction completely. And then last but not least, cotangent is 3/7. This ends part 1 of the 6.3 day 1 video.